Ramblings of a Semi-Coherent Drunk. God, I Love Christmas. Part 2. We pull into the Big Lots parking lot, as the day before, my brother Jake and his girlfriend had assured us that there was a Christmas tree lot here. There was nothing. The parking lot was full of cars and little else. We ignore this fact as my fiancé and I need a tree stand and a power strip. I've put on pants for the occasion. I'm clad in denim jeans, a black shirt, a brown zip-up sweater, a leather jacket, and a black cowboy hat, bent up to look like the sort of hat Lemmy Kilmister would wear. This is my typical attire. We go into the store, and within our first few turns, I lock eyes with the Vernonian. I immediately break eye contact and hurry my pace before they can recognize me. My fiancé brings up the rear, to which I explain the situation. I grew up in the small town of Vernonia. I hate Vernonia. I spent 15 years living there, my formative years, and have built up a steady and unwavering hatred for the town that not even the spirit of Christmas can make a dent in. I revel in my disgust for that place, and seeing most people from there makes my skin crawl, and when in public I have to force down a sneer of absolute abhorrence. The whole experience should have been a sign. For when we got to where the tree stand should have been, lo, there were none. I immediately thought back to Halloween, where they had tree stands aplenty. I even recall watching people perusing the Christmas items as far back as October and looking at them incredulously. What fools, I thought. These simpletons who can't even take the time to enjoy the holiday they're in the midst of without having to prepare for the festivities 2 holidays over. What nerve. Flashing back to the present, and there I was, 5 days before Christmas, empty fucking handed, and looking back with anger and envy. My fiancé and I decide to cut our losses and try the Fred Meyers down the street. There are no trees, which once again hits us hard. I didn't know there was a deadline on buying a tree. No one told me there was a goddamn deadline in getting a tree. But evidently it is a buyer's market. I thought about driving out to the middle of nowhere with a hacksaw to take a tree by force. Briefly discussed the idea of getting a Christmas hedge from somewhere on the grounds of our apartment complex. Fuck it. We probably weren't getting much back on our security deposit anyways. Might as well make it count. We proceed inside and among the crowded masses find a tree stand. A $30 tree stand. I refuse to pay $30 for what is essentially just a bucket that keeps the fucking tree wet and standing straight up. Looking at our options, we find a green bucket. It's too tall, but I have a handsaw at home that can fix that problem. So we buy our $5 soon-to-be-cut-down tree stand and a power strip. And on the way back, we spy one of the few Christmas tree lots still open and pull in. Now, we knew we weren't getting a very big tree, but unless you can carry it on your lap, the damn thing has to go on the roof of the car. I cannot tie knots, even if my life depends on it. I've always considered it one of my biggest failures of growing into adulthood. My father, on the other hand, can tie anything to anything, and can do so securely. Hell, he could tie peace to the Middle fucking East if he had a long enough rope. I can feel his shame. Even when compared to the most incompetent Cub Scout, I am woefully inept. I don't decide to pass this information along to my fiancé and start going to work with the rope I brought along. I figured out how to drive a 22-foot fucking garage door on a forklift. God damn it, I can tie a fucking 4-foot Christmas tree to the roof of my car. The man who trimmed our tree offers to help me tie it to the car, but I don't feel like informing him that we'd have to work around the fact that the rear windows of my car don't roll down, so I send him off. Midway through tying it, I inform my fiancée that she will have to climb in from the driver's side. When I am satisfied with the job, I reach up to give the tree a shake, expecting it to resist my efforts. It slides side to side with little force. It didn't seem to move forwards or backwards too much, so I threw up my hands and said, "Good enough." "I drive carefully," I told myself. What's the worst that could happen? After my fiancé had climbed in and I was buckling my seatbelt, a montage of potential disasters flashed through my mind. The tree sliding off the back of the car and causing a 40 fatality 20-car pileup. Families destroyed, Christmases ruined and spent in hospitals, all because some dickhead couldn't be bothered to ask for help tying a tree to his car. This thought amused me much more than it should have, because as soon as I pictured me having to slam on the brakes and watching the tree go flying off the hood, I was somewhat less pleased. So I pictured me slamming on the brakes for a family of 10. White trash, carrying home their bounty of $20 worth of Little Caesars. I pictured the look on the face of the clan leader, probably named something like Jay Dizzle or Rex. I pictured the look on his face as he and his family crossed against the signal, hearing the sound of my squealing tires. Who knows, maybe even having a blowout in my shitty front left driver's side tire that I've been meaning to change for the last 5 months. You know, just to give the incident a little more authenticity. That look of complete and utter realization that this situation has spiraled beyond his control. And instead of attempting to shield his children or his girlfriend, taking a slow-motion offensive posture, maybe tripping a bit as his baggy pants catch around his thighs, as he throws his $5 deal box to the wet pavement, he pushes up his flat-billed baseball cap and goes to take off his shirt. This would be when the tree flies off the roof and impales him right through his tap-out shirt, slamming him to the ground. His underage girlfriend's cries of, "Rex, look out!" fall upon deaf and now dying ears as he flies back to the ground. As a small halo of blood pools around his now hatless head, his 3 teenage children pull out their cell phones to record the event for social networking sites. One of them, pausing to take a selfie with his still warm corpse. Dad's dead, lols. Lols indeed. A middle-aged passerby runs out into the intersection, filled with determination at first, and then upon examining the attire of the corpse and the completely phased state of the family, walks to my window, shakes my hand, and gives me a carton of cigarettes. I snap out of the daydream as I kick the car into reverse and back out a bit more carefully than I had pulled in. As I pull onto the highway, a large truck zooms in behind me. The tree must have shifted a bit, because within a minute he is backed up to about 7 car lengths behind me. He maintains his distance, and no one else dares to cut between he and I. At some point, he pulls into the other lane, passes me, and cuts in front of me. I do not dare take this thing above 35. As amusing as the thoughts of those potential incidents may have been, the thought of actually committing any of them is mortifying. I drive with increased caution. Until the package is secure at home, no one is safe. Not me, not any of the other drivers, not even that white trash piece of shit I made up. We arrive home without incident, and I untie the tree from the roof. As further proof of the danger I had just lazily and casually exposed the world to, I didn't even bother to tie the other end of the rope. I had just slammed it into the door, enough so as that I thought the rest of the world had very little to worry about, but this probably wouldn't have passed muster for most people. I ignored this idea and carried the tree up to the house. After sawing the bucket in half, I put the tree in it. After all, a tree stand is nothing more than a modified bucket anyways, and the tree leans. Even after tying it to the walls, it never seems to achieve any sort of degree of rigidity. After about 30 minutes of fighting with it, I glance over at my fiancé. "How do you feel about a crooked Christmas tree?" "I would think people would expect us to have a drunk-looking Christmas tree anyways." "Leave it alone. We got shopping to do."